So we'll show you now how to access the Learning Hub and then access the toolkit and the tools as well for practice placements. So Graham, can you please talk through how to get on the Learning Hub and the faculty catalog?
So to access the NHS Learning Hub, you can search in Google for NHS Learning Hub and it's the first option that comes up. The home page is the login page for the Learning Hub. So once you've got your username and password set up, you can sign straight into the Learning Hub. If you've also got a username and password for eLearning for Health, you can use that username and password to gain access as well. So it's a really simple sign-in process. Once you're at the front page of the Learning Hub, you'll have the option to search for the resources you're looking for. So for our resources, you can look for Cheshire and Merseyside. And we are the first catalogue which appears. So the catalogue name is Cheshire and Merseyside AHP faculty. Once you click into the catalogue, you'll see all the resources that has been developed by the faculty. So the first two resources we have on there at the moment are the Placements Educators Toolkit. First thing you're going to look into is the introduction. So from that, once you've clicked on the introduction page, this is the page that will show up, and you can download the toolkit by clicking on the link. From here, you'll also see a description of the toolkit, and once the toolkit's downloaded, you can then open that into Word straight away.
Okay, once we are in the introduction, the thing to remember is the toolkit is made up of two main documents on the catalog. One is this one, which is called the introduction, and the second is the section that actually contains all the strategies and tools. So this introduction document is what we recommend you read first before you actually deep dive into all of the tools. The page there, the contents page, is hyperlinked. So depending on whichever section you need to go to, you just need to click on it and it'll take you there. We recommend you start from the top if you are new to the toolkit and actually read from page 2 onwards with the introduction. So if we can scroll to the introduction area, please, Graham. So the introduction just tells a bit of background and why and how the toolkit came about. The flow chart there, as a clinical educator, how you could actually use the toolkit, that flow chart step by step gives you a guide of how you may use it. It's important to stress that the toolkit is just that. It is a collection of all the tools and strategies that various educators in various professions have come up with. It's entirely up to you to decide which tool might suit your workplace and your area of work the best. So the steps outlined there talk about how you can locate the toolkit, what document to read first, and then using a quality improvement methodology to explore the barriers that are there in you increasing your placement capacity or improving the quality of your placement. Following this, you can look at exploring the tools and then choosing the correct tool to the barrier that you've identified. It's important to say here that you might come up with a long list of barriers, but it's important to prioritize them, to think about which is the one that is under your control and is most pertinent to your situation. Once you've chosen the appropriate tool, at that stage, we ask you to deep dive into that tool in the different section of the toolkit. Look at planning as to how you're going to implement that tool. So you might need to speak to other team members and come up with a plan. And then use a PDSA approach at the time of implementation, which is again in line with that quality improvement methodology. Following this, you can decide whether this tool is something you want to use again, you want to modify and use it, or you want to discard it and it didn't work for you. and then repeat the steps as necessary. The other part of the introduction document that we want to point out to you, if we scroll a little bit, please, down there, it then takes you to the diagram that we've shown you before in the slides around what tools have we included here. And under that flower diagram, we've put the link for the tools. So if you want to now deep dive, Graham, can you just use your arrow to point out the link in orange there? That's it, that's the one. And if you wanted to go straight into the tools, you'd click over there. The rest of the documents contain some guiding principles. We recommend that you use these to discuss with your learners and with your team before placement to establish those ground rules really for that placement. So if we can now scroll to where the useful links and resources are on that document, please. Okay, so as you can see on that page number 15, there is a list of useful links and resources. And what that does is just collects everything that's out there regionally or nationally that would be useful in an AHP Practice Educator Toolkit and put it under one umbrella. So for example, there is a guide for AHP learners who need to continue learning when they are self-isolating. There is a guide for newly qualified staff for well-being. And these are now under one umbrella of this toolkit. We will keep adding to it as new and new resources emerge. Just under that page of useful links and resources is the e-learning for health modules that are out there at the minute. They just give you a brief synopsis of each of the modules, so you can choose which one is most appropriate for your learner. If you can scroll down some more, please, to the next table. Okay, so where it says CPEP videos, so it divides it into two types of videos, the case studies and the live clinical videos. There at the minute, we've got the one video already there for your use, and we hope to have all the videos in the next 2 months as they undergo the editing stage. That's where you can access the videos by clicking on that link. It'll directly take you to the video. The last section we want to point you to is the appendices on this document, which contains templates of all the resources that you might want to use. So for example, a blank timetable template to clip weekly learning log to supervision or reflective logs. It also has a template for handover. So if a learner has gone and shadowed someone else, it's for the learner to then collect the feedback on this form and bring it back to their educator instead of the educator going and having to ask for feedback from everyone else. So that is sort of a whistle-stop tour of the introduction document. So if we can now show you where the tools live and where the strategies live. So for that, you'll just go, you can click on that description there where it says the tools are stored by clicking here. It should take you to all the tools. It lists the tools initially, and then at the bottom of the page, there is the links to each of the tools as well. So for example, if you wanted to look at leadership placements, you would basically click on that and it'll take you directly into the tool. As it did before, it lets you view and download that particular tool, and you can store it on your own desktop or laptop. So that is basically a quick guide as to what are the two main documents to access on this toolkit. Thank you for listening.